Hey everyone, welcome back to your favorite pirate crew. Today we are going to talk about Luffy being able to consume multiple devil fruits. If you would like to see more about One Piece in our channel, please leave your thumbs up and subscribe to join our pirate crew. But pirates, before we continue with the video, I ask that you already subscribe to our channel, that way you will join our pirate crew and earn a devil fruit or master your favorite hockey. It would also help our crew a lot if you leave your thumbs up on today's video, so together we can become Yonkos. Now let's continue with today's video. One Piece is one of the most successful and well-known shonen manga and anime series of all time. This series is the creation of Eiichiro Oda and has released over 1,000 manga chapters. Luffy, the protagonist of One Piece, is one of the most beloved characters in the series, being committed as a rather special character and worthy of the hundreds of amazing scenes, whether in fights or ordinary dialogues. The last scene where we saw him directly stand out was the revelation that he had awakened as Joy Boy, and his fruit, originally known as Gomu Gomu no Mi, was actually the Hito Hito no Mi, model Nika. This is a legendary fruit that was lost long ago, always escaping from the world government as if it possessed a life of its own, until it finally got into Monkey D. Luffy's hands, as if it had chosen him. In truth, Hito Hito no Mi is a devil fruit of the mythic Zoan type that allows the user to gain the powers of Nika, the sun god and the one who was known in the legends as a great liberator. In a sense, we can say that Luffy would be recognized as a new liberation warrior in many possible ways. But, would he, within this idea of freedom, be able to do things far beyond what was imagined? Would Luffy be able to consume yet another devil fruit? In today's video we'll talk a bit about this possibility. Know that a person is only capable of eating a single devil fruit in their entire life. Any attempt to gain a second power from such a fruit will cause the consumer's body to be completely torn apart to the point where few traces of it will be left, resulting in their death. It is said that the two fruits consumed conflict with each other, completely messing up the internal area of this body. This idea is further strengthened when Blackbeard appears with the power of two Akumas no Mi, which is a complete surprise to everyone, since this idea, from the beginning, was impossible. So this unique power associated with having two or perhaps even more Akumas no Mi has, until now, only been associated with Yami Yami no Mi, Blackbeard's first fruit. Yami Yami no Mi is a Logia-type devil fruit that allows the user to create and control darkness at will, making them a dark man. It was eaten by Marshal D. Teach, also known as Blackbeard, who stole it from Commander Thatch of Whitebeard's 4th Pirate Division after killing him. This fruit is considered unique even for a Logia type, and the ability it grants is considered the most similar to a black hole. The user of Yami Yami no Mi can absorb things into a vortex. It seems that it does not completely compress and annihilate what is sucked in like a real black hole would, but creates some form of space where things are stored. Blackbeard was able to suck an entire city into it, and when he released it, the buildings were reduced to junk, but not completely destroyed. The guards of Impel Down that Blackbeard sucked out also survived, although they were seriously injured and in a state of shock. The most unique and frightening advantage of the fruit is that the user also has the ability to nullify the powers of other devil fruit simply by touching the user. All types of devil fruit, whether Paramecia, Zoan, or Logia, are affected by this, though Logias are more affected as they can no longer become intangible by transforming into their respective elements. Also, unlike the Sea and Kairoseki, which only prevent devil fruit users from controlling their powers, and Busos Hoku Haki, which allows users to bypass defensive aspects such as the intangibility of a Logia or the malleability of the rubber of Gomu Gomu no Mi, their nullification of devil fruit's powers seems truly absolute, as if devil fruit users never acquired their powers. This was shown when Luffy's stretching powers were completely cancelled at touch, allowing Blackbeard to injure the rubber man simply by throwing him to the ground, whereas previously, when Luffy was trapped underwater, his neck could still be stretched above the surface of the water, whereas the Busos Hoku Haki would only allow blunt attacks like Garp's punches and Rayleigh's Peatlekos to cause pain, despite him still being rubber. When Blackbeard took the Gura Gura no Mi from Whitebeard's corpse through an unknown method, he claimed that with the power of darkness that reduces anything to nothing, combined with the power of earthquakes that brings destruction to everything, he was truly invincible and the strongest. The Logia-type Akumas no Mi are characterized by giving the user the ability to become, create, and control an element or force of nature. All other Logias are divided between two types of elements: matter, such as ice and sand, and energy, such as light and electricity. This fruit is the only one shown so far that does not fall into either category, as darkness is abstract. Devil fruits that allow the user to create and control poison, wax, or any other substance that does not allow the user's own body to transform into that element are classified as Paramecia. Within this idea, interestingly enough, Yami Yami no Mi is the only exception. This also makes it the only Logia-type devil fruit that does not make the user intangible. Within that idea, certainly Yami Yami no Mi is a rather special fruit. Perhaps, along with Hito Hito no Mi itself, which despite being a special Logia, also still has quite specific abilities, it is possible to assume that both might be similar in being different from the others in several ways. When Luffy was 7 years old, he accidentally consumed the devil fruit Gomu Gomu no Mi, which granted his body the same properties that rubber has. This allowed him to stretch any part of his body, which is quite useful in combat. The disadvantage of consuming devil fruit in one piece is that the person loses the ability to swim. To date, this is the only devil fruit that Luffy has consumed in the entire story. It is important to remember that the characters in One Piece can only consume one devil fruit. If they attempted to consume another, their body would be torn apart to such an extent that almost no trace would be left. This would eventually result in their death. However, this is not the first time we have seen our Straw Hat being brought to this stage of death. In fact, we saw that he was only able to awaken his Gear 5 because he practically died in combat against Kaido. During this fight, we saw that the awakening of the Hito Hito no Mi fruit allowed Luffy to completely break free in combat, gaining even more strength and stamina. After the fruit is awakened, the physical appearance and abilities of the user are transformed. Upon transforming, the user takes on more of Nika's features and constant laughter. In Luffy's case, his hair and eyebrows turn white, his eyes glow with white rings, and white clouds float around his neck, similar to the vapor clouds that accompany him while wearing Gear 4. The user, and those around him, also begin to have cartoon-like effects, commonly referred to as the Toon Force effect, such as wide-eyed and cartoon-like welts that appear after a head injury. In terms of its abilities, Awakening gives the user's rubber body significantly greater physical strength and freedom, and powers equivalent to an awakened Paramecia and an awakened Zoan. Similarly to the powers granted by an awakened Paramecia Devil Fruit, the user is able to turn his surroundings into rubber, which can then be used to reflect projectile attacks, such as Kaido's BOLO breath. Unlike the awakened Paramecia Devil Fruits, the awakened user is able to turn living surfaces and non-living surfaces into rubber. However, just like the powers granted by an awakened Zoan Devil Fruit, the user also undergoes a transformation upon awakening, in this case, into the Sun God Nika. In this state, Luffy's heartbeat takes on a musical rhythm, which was described by Zanesha as the drums of liberation. Notably, this heartbeat is not only the mechanism by which the user is able to awaken the fruit, it is also the source and origin of the user's awakened powers. Without it, he will quickly return to his normal state. The user is in their awakened state, which Luffy calls Gear 5, they are endowed with a number of powers. First, the user is able to manipulate and control their rubber body in any form they choose, which seems to be limited only by the user's imagination. This includes, but is not limited to, the exchange of the user being able to enter and exit Gear 3 at will, transform his head into the shape of an opponent's weapon, and transform his entire body into that of a giant. Secondly, the user gains abilities similar to a cartoon character. For example, like the Looney Tune cartoons, Luffy is able to run through the air and propel himself a great distance. Thirdly, the user gains regenerative characteristics that, at least while in his awakened form, can bring him back from a near-death state, give him more energy and greater resistance to physical attacks due to his rubber body gaining greater physical strength. Due to these abilities, it is said by the world government that, in all the world, there is no more ridiculous power than the awakened abilities of Hito Hito no Mi, model, Nika. In all this information, can we assume that the freedom factor actually extends to the user beyond their imagination? Obviously, we see this when Luffy gives up logic in combat and plays with physics, so would it be possible that the same could happen with his own body? That's where the possibility of Luffy being able to ingest more than one devil fruit without suffering any changes to his body would come in. But this would probably only work if Gear 5, or the awakening of Hito Hito no Mi, was in action. That way, he would be able to deal with the death state and come back without much trouble. After all, the point at which he transformed was precisely during the instant when his heart stopped, right? Perhaps, going well beyond what we might expect of general logics being broken thanks to the fruit's speck of freedom, it may be possible for Luffy to survive consuming more fruit and use it to his advantage in combat without major problems. Being able to use both of the fruit's powers outside of its Gear 5 state. Would we have a kind of Yami Yami no Mi 2.0? Would this be possible for Hito Hito no Mi? We still know very little about the maximum powers and capabilities of this devil fruit, but up to this point, nothing becomes so impossible to imagine. After all, there is no end to the creativity, freedom, and minds of people. Tell us in the comments what you think about this possibility. Could we see Luffy gaining new powers this way, or maybe with a slightly different idea? Be sure to let us know what you think about it. That's it, my Straw Hat Pirate. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any suggestions for a video, don't forget to comment below, because I'll be reading them all as I always do. Also, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any content from your pirate crew.